Uncharted and The Last of Us are now complete. Starfield may be in rough shape. Big day for Vesper Martinis. This is GameF8 News. If you like it, click the like button. If you want to make sure you keep up to date with all the game news, click subscribe. I'm still bedridden because of my ankle, but we carry on. First for our Supersonic stories. Dead Space reviews are out and they're looking good. The Metacritic for the PlayStation 5 version is currently 89 from 56 reviews, with 55 favourable, 1 mixed and no negative. This compares to the original on the PS3 at 88. The remakes seem to be held back from a higher score due to pacing issues carried over from the originals and some reviews wanting a little more from the updated graphics. Call of Duty Warzone is reportedly planning on resetting progress in the popular DMZ extraction mode as part of its Season 2. Devs Infinity Ward announced a refresh of your current faction mission progress and an inventory reset. Players are understandably not happy about this, with some planning on not moving on to the new season. After Destiny 2 was recently down for 20 hours, Dev Buggy have come out to explain why. In simple terms, they released old data to the current version. This means that any progress made since the data was captured was erased. Sometimes these things can be as simple as not selecting the right option from the drop-down menu, so I definitely feel for the devs that day. Polymega, the device that allows emulation of your old games, have pushed back a press release by a month. They've been teasing a massive announcement for a while, believing to possibly be FPGA, which has led many purists to buy a Mister or analog console instead. They had previously stated that the tech just isn't there yet for FPGA, but the competitors have shown that this can be done. Now to our headline stories. Naughty Dog co-president Neil Druckmann has announced that the studio have moved on from Uncharted and may also move on from The Last of Us. In a recent interview with BuzzFeed, he said, "For us, Uncharted was insanely successful. Uncharted 4 was one of our best-selling games, and we're able to put our final brushstroke on that story and say, we're moving on. Likewise, The Last of Us, it's up to us whether we want to continue it or not. If we can't come up with something, we have a very strong ending with Part 2, and that will be the end." The studio have prided themselves on not overstaying their welcome with franchises for decades. Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, and now Uncharted and The Last of Us have maintained their quality throughout their limited number of sequels. When it comes to Naughty Dog, I'm most excited about what they will create rather than any potential sequels. That's not to say that the 4 franchise will never receive a sequel from different studios. Crash Bandicoot have recently seen a 4th game released by Toys for Bob, but this was mainly due to Activision holding the rights for the IP. Next, Starfield and Redfall have been named by a leaker to be in big trouble. The leaker in question, Horns, gained credibility when they released information on Hi-Fi Rush hours before the game was announced. They have now released this post on Reset Era stating the pressures Microsoft is under to tackle the losses it has from Azure, its clouding platform. But Bethesda are said to be having internal arguments with Microsoft to push Starfield from its rumoured June date to the end of the year. Many were concerned that Starfield wasn't part of Xbox's recent developer direct and have been cynical on their excuse that the game was needing to have its own event. When Starfield was shown off last year, it looked amazing, but the performance was not necessarily where it needed to be for a AAA release. Both Starfield and Redfall have already both been delayed, leading some to assume that this would have given them time to polish the game, but Xbox players will remember that Halo Infinite was delayed by a year and is still yet to sort out the issues it has and release all the modes that some argue should have been available on release. As with all the leaks from the internet, especially Reset Era, take this with a large grain of salt. In our final bit of news, GoldenEye has finally been released for the Nintendo Switch Online and Game Pass. The internet is buzzing with recycled classic articles, documentaries and factoids about the classic game. Nintendo Life reported on a leaked making-of video that was planned to be included with the rare replay had Microsoft managed to secure the rights to the game. The hard-hitting title music has been revealed to have only taken 20 minutes to create. Grunk Hughope, who is a pleasure to follow on Twitter, also shared that the problem with the title music wasn't the composition, but trying to get the audio samples to work on the Nintendo 64 development kit. As reported yesterday, the Nintendo Switch Online version is having problems with its audio, with Reset Era user Lady Bow noticing the track is missing a high-pitched cymbal sample. The game is also included free with digital copies of Rare Replay on the Xbox. Physical copies unfortunately will not get the game included because of apparent licensing issues. No one is quite sure why this would be an issue, but presumably Nintendo or MGM do not want there to be physical copies of this game out in the world for some reason. One of the reasons the game was so popular was the 4-player split-screen multiplayer. The incredible thing though was that this was almost not part of the game and was a very last-minute addition. What a different world we'd live in if this was a single-player game. Anyway, that's it for today. When do you think Starfield will release? Are you sad The Last of Us won't have a part 3? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you tomorrow for another GameF8 news.